It has been a while since I've worked out a full exam, so I'm going to do it once again for this exam. This is a SAT math exam, or the math portion of the SAT exam. That was given back, I believe, in May of 2023, so quite recent as of the filming of this video. So hopefully it's still relevant to what's on the exam nowadays. I have not solved this before. I have not even looked at the problems before, so hopefully this can be helpful for you if you're watching it to see how I think through the problems, any shortcuts that I take, and all that good stuff. Just observing how I approach an exam. Someone who's done this before, someone who's experienced, someone who knows the math quite well. Okay, no guarantees that I'll get 100% clearly, because of course I make mistakes, but hopefully, even when I do make mistakes, you see why I made them. Maybe they're common errors, they're probably common errors, or maybe it's just some small careless error, and that could be helpful as well. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. Hopefully this will be a single take. I don't plan to edit this at all, and don't plan to break this up into multiple sections. Okay, let's begin. Number one, this is the no calculate portion. The graph shown represents the possible combinations of 3 credit and 4 credit classes a student can enroll in to complete an associate's degree program. Based on the graph, if a student enrolls in 8 3 credit classes, how many 4 credit classes will the student need to enroll in to complete this program? Okay, by the way, I'm not timing myself. Well, I guess I am timing by the length of this video, but I'm purposely going to go a little slower because I'm going to read the problems out and I'm going to explain my thought process. So it'll be slower than if I just actually take the exam quietly. Okay, so what does this say? This is modeling. So let's look at the axes first of all. Number 3 credit classes is the X. Number 4 credit classes is the Y. This is a model of the combinations, and these are certain points on the model. So this person wants to enroll in 8 3 credit classes. So where's 8? Right here. Okay. How many 4 credit classes will the student need to complete the program? So isn't there a point right there? There is. How many is that? That's 9. As simple as that. Just use that graph. Should be C. Let me check. Yes. Number 1 is C. Okay. Let me shift the camera down a bit. And then there we go. Number 2. Graph of the linear function f is shown. Which equation defines f? This is slope-intercept form, all these. So what is the y-intercept? It is 1. So it should be plus 1. Cross these two out. The slope is positive as well. So cross this one out. Answer is A. As simple as that. That should be a quick one. Graph of polynomial function f, where y equals f of x, has x-intercepts at these two guys. Which the following must be true? F of -6 is 0. I mean, didn't that tell us, didn't it say it right there? So that seems true. F of 6 is -6. No, they gave us what f of 6 is. It should be 0. And then similarly, this is not true. They did not give us f of 0 at all. So we don't know anything about that. So only answer is A. This one, again, easy one. If you know what function is. The input is -6, the output is 0, and they gave us that point right there. What is the solution to this system of equation? Is there a fast way to do this? I don't know. So let's just substitute 4x plus 6 into this y, because y equals this. Plug this into there. So minus 5x minus parentheses 4x plus 6 is 21. Okay. So minus 5x minus 4x minus 6 is 21. Minus 9x that is what, 27. X is minus 3. So we could, since if we assume we got it right, we could just pick choice A right away, and that is the answer. We could double check real quick. If we plug in x is -3, do we get back y is -6? We can plug it into here. -3 times 4, that's -12, plus 6, that's -6. Good. And then you should get the same if you plug in there as well. That's what systems of equation is. Points that satisfy both equations, or point of intersection. What are all possible solutions to the given equation? You can just go by the choices real quick here. You can see that only 10 works. 5 is C. The proper way to do it is you would have x minus 10 is 0 as is, and x minus 10 is -0, but -0 is the same as 0, so you don't need that equation. You solve for this, solve for x here, x is 10. And again, you can just plug in points to see if it's true, only 10 works. This gives us q is s times r minus 1 squared. The equation relates the positive numbers q, r, and s, which equation gives r in terms of q and s when r is greater than 1. You're solving for r, so q divided by s is r minus 1 squared. And then r is positive, so... Okay, actually, let's keep our options open. If we, let me write my q like that. That's a q. Okay, if we keep our options open, r minus 1 is plus or minus square root of q over s. Okay, and then we solve for r. Sorry, I'm going to optimize my setup a little bit. R is 1 plus or minus square root of q over s. Okay, they tell us that r is greater than 1. Okay, so how does that help us here? Well, if we just go by our general solution, if I did it correctly, it looks like it must be this one, right? No other one works, so it should just be A, 6A, yes. Okay, we don't know anything about Q and S, so if this whole square root term is, actually no, if we subtract, because R is greater than 1, it's 1 plus something would work. 1 minus something, you're subtracting something from 1. It has to be greater than 1, so you have to subtract 0. So the minus sign doesn't work there in this case because they gave us this condition. So it's only the plus as I circled. So that explains it. Okay. In the relationship between variables x and y, each increase of 1 in the value of x decreases the value of y by 2. That sounds like slope. Hopefully you recognize that. When x is 0, y is 5. Which equation represents the relationship? Okay. When x is 0, y is 5. Isn't that the y-intercept? So the y equals mx plus b, b is 5. So cross this one out, cross this one out. And each increase in x of 1 decreases the value of y. So the slope should be negative, these two are, so that doesn't help us eliminate. But remember, slope is change in y over change in x. Delta y over delta x. So each increase of 1 in x, you subtract 2 in the y. So minus 2 should be the slope. Answer is D. Okay. An architect is asked to construct an opening in the wall in the shape of a parabola. The blueprint of the architect's design is shown. Formula, the sky, where k is a constant, can be used to determine the height of the opening at a horizontal distance of x feet from the left side of the opening. What is the value of k based on the blueprint? Okay. So, we know the vertex of this parabola is 4, 8. Okay? That should help us. Okay, why don't we, this guy, see, this is why I'm doing this live. I'm thinking out loud how to solve this. What is the value of k? Well, okay, here's one way that you can do it. I just said it's 4, 8. That's the point. So let's plug in x as 4, y is 8. 8 is minus 4 times 4 minus 8 over k. Okay? Now we just solve for k. K is minus 4 times minus 4 over 8, which is 16 over 8, which is 2. Is that the answer? 8B, yes. As simple as that. Okay? You just have to understand what's going on. This, as it says, can determine the height of the opening at some distance x feet away. We know from this graph or this blueprint, at a distance of 4 away, the height is 8. That's x is 4, y is 8, and then we can solve for k. There's only one variable left. Isosceles right triangle has a hypotenuse of length 4 inches. What is the perimeter in inches of this triangle? Okay, so be careful to answer the question. So isosceles right triangle, so these two lengths are the same or congruent. The hypotenuse is 4. How do we get the other two sides? Well, if you remember, isosceles right triangle is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So it'll be 4 over root 2 would be the two sides. This one's 4 over root 2 as well. Perimeter, you add up each side. So 4 over root 2 plus another 4 over root 2 plus 4. Okay, but we got to simplify. So this is 8 over root 2 plus 4. So we can write this as 8 root 2 over 2 plus 4. Okay, so what is that? That is 4 root 2 plus 4. And that is C. Is that right? Yes. Good. All right. Didn't get any wrong so far. Pretty good. How many solutions does the equation this guy have? Okay. Well, these are two linear lines. So you can have at most one. Actually, you can have infinite many. Actually, totally back up, because if they're the same line, then there's infinite number of solutions. Okay. We could just solve for x to c. There's no issue with that. So what is that? If we distribute the 4, it'll be 4x minus 8 is, if I distribute the negative 2, it'll be minus 2x minus 8. These two would cancel. So we get what? 6x is 0 if I move it to the other side. So x is 0. Okay? And that's the only solution. X is 0, then y would be negative 8. Okay? So it should be exactly 1. Is that right? 10b? Yes. Okay? If it was no solution, or 0 solutions, you would have something that doesn't make sense over here. For example, 0x is 1. That's impossible, because 0x is 0. So 0 cannot equal 1. That's no solution then. Again, as I said, these are two linear lines. They could only intersect once, unless they're the same line. So you can't really have exactly 2. You have either none if they're parallel, 1 if they intersect, 2, or infinitely many if they're the same line. If they're infinitely many, it should be like 1 equals 1 or 5 equals 5, something like that. All right, moving on. Line K is tangent to the circle with center C at point A, as shown. What is the slope of line K? Okay, it's tangent, so that means it's going to be perpendicular to this line right here, which is radius of the circle. Okay, we can find the slope of this radius right here. If we treat this as like an actual line, how do we find the slope? Change in y over change in x. Change in y over change in x is, change in y would be minus 4 minus negative 5 over change in x would be minus 5 minus negative 7. All right, let me double check. I did it real quick. Minus 4 minus 5. Okay, so this would be, was that minus 4 plus 5? That's 1. Minus 5 plus 7, that is 2. Okay? This is the slope of this. How are perpendicular lines related in slope? They're negative reciprocals. So this line over here has a slope of negative reciprocal. So you're going to flip it and add a negative sign. Negative 2. And that's the answer. 11a. Function R gives the predicted average rating expressed as a number of points in the German Chess Federation database for a player based on number of years, blah, blah, blah. Okay, a lot of this is, you don't need to read, honestly. But you just need to know what R is. Predicted average rating. What's T? Number player has participated, the number of years. Which of the following represents the predicted average rating of a player who has just entered their first professional chess tournament. So, if they just entered the first tournament, how many years has the player participated? 0. So T is 0. Answer is B. As simple as that. Alice took 60 minutes to complete a task on her first trial. The time it took Alice to complete the task decreased by 10% of the previous time for each additional trial. Approximately how many minutes will it take Alice to complete the task on her 5th trial? Okay, so we can model this very quickly, or you can just do like 6 times 0.1 or 0.9, sorry, because you only want 90% of 60 minutes. You want to take 10% off, so you only want 90% of 60 minutes. After that, and then you keep multiplying by 0.9 until 5 trials. Or you can just write it as a, well, actually we don't get a calculator here. So, but that's fine. It'll be 60 times 0.9. Okay, so the very first trial, it takes 60 minutes. Okay, 2 trials, it would be 60 times 0.9 minutes. Okay, so 3 trials, it'll be 60 times 0.9 times another 0.9. So for 5 trials, it'll be 4 0.9s that we multiply by. One less, because we don't count the first one. Okay, so now how do we evaluate this guy is the question now. So it'll be 60 times 0.81 times 0.81, right? Because 0.9 times 0.9 is 0.81, and then there's 2 more, so another 0.81, okay? So we can guesstimate. Let's round it down to 80% maybe, okay? So if it's, not 80%, 0.8, that would make our life a little easier. So let me use a different color. Let's see if this works. Because I don't want to do it by hand, basically. 60 times 0.8 times 0.8. Maybe this will give us a nice approximation, which is 60 times 0.8 times 0.8, that's 0.64. Isn't this easier now? So you know that it should be in around, it should be one of these two. For sure it's not 50. One of these 3, we can even eliminate A right away. Okay, so it's one of these 2. Which one is it? If we do it like this, it would be, what is that? 36 plus 24, that's 38 point something right here. This is 38 point something. I just did it in my head quickly. 38 point something, but I rounded down, so it should be a little more than 38 point something. So 39 is a good guess. And is that the answer? Yes. Okay, so if you have time, and then I would go and actually compute this, but this is how I would do it on a test. Just round down, because I don't want to calculate this by hand, to get a rough estimate, because this is much easier to do in your head, or you do this by hand. It's much easier than doing this. And in my head, I calculate it's 38 point something. It should be a little more than that, so 39 is a good guess. So 39 or 42 is the best guesses, so I just guessed 39, and it happens to be the right answer. But again, if I had time toward the end of the test, I would actually go compute it by hand, or more accurately at least. Okay, next, which of the following tables are the values of x and the corresponding values of y solutions to the system of inequalities shown? Okay, so if you don't remember how to solve system of inequalities, because right off the top of my head, I have an idea, but I don't really remember the proper way to do it. Just plug in the points to see if they satisfy. Let's plug in 0, 4, negative 4, for example. Does it hold true here? X is 0, y is negative 4. Is 3 greater than negative 4? Yes. Okay. 0, 2. That would hold as well here, right? 2 is less than 3. That's fine. How about here? 0, negative 4. Is 0 greater than, negative 4 greater than negative 6? It is. Is 2 greater than negative 6? It is. Okay, so those points don't really, actually, 0, negative 3 as well. Did I try that yet? Negative 3, negative 3. Okay, yeah, that doesn't help. Okay, why don't we try 4, 4 now? This would be 4 is greater than 2 minus 6. That's for sure true. How about here? 4 is less than 8/5 plus 3. That's for sure true. Okay, so that doesn't help us either. How about negative 2, negative 8? Negative 2, that already doesn't hold, right? Because negative 8 greater than, plug in negative 2 here, minus 1, minus 6. Negative 8 is greater than negative 7? Not true. Cannot be true. Cross that one out. This has the same point. Cross that one out. Okay, so now we start eliminating a few things. Okay, now let's look carefully. Negative 2, comma 3. Is 3 greater than minus, that's for sure true. How about here? Negative 2, comma 3. So 3 less than negative 4/5 plus 3. Negative 3 less than negative 4/5 plus 3. Yes, that is right. Okay, so negative 2 comma 2. I feel like that's not going to work, right? 2 is less than, actually that is true. How about 2, was it? 2 negative 2. So you should write things down, not like me right now. If I'm kind of losing track. 2 is greater than, okay, so one of these has to be not true. Okay, so 4 minus 3. Is that one 4 is greater than, that's for sure true. Or actually 4 minus 3. X is the 4. So 4 over 2 minus 6, right? 2 minus 6, that's minus 2. Minus 2 is less than minus 3, that's not true. Answer is D. 14D. Yes. Okay, that took way too long. So maybe if you remember how to solve this, then that would have been better. But you can see how plugging in the points and checking works, but it's quite slow. So, I don't remember off the top of my head right now, honestly, how to do this. If I do a quick refression, I probably remember, but this is test time. I don't remember. So I'm plugging in points because that I know also works. Slower, but it works. You just gotta be careful, as you saw. That's quite disorganized, so write things down. Okay, which of the following is equivalent to this guy? Okay, this is just simplifying radicals, so it should not be bad at all, okay? Square root of 32, I can write as square root of 16 times 2, right? 16 times 2 is 32. And is 2 to the 5th power, no, 2 to the 5th is 32, 2 to the 4th is, yeah. Okay, so let me pause on that first. Let me come back to it, if I'm doing it correctly in my head. What's square root of 16? That is 4, so 4 root 2, and the 5th root is 64. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at the choices now. I feel like this method might not help me. How do they get these suddenly, is what I'm thinking now. Is it actually a 5th root? Do they have a typo or something like that? I don't think so. So let me think. Okay. I know 32, as I said, was 2 to the 5th power. 64 should be 2 to the 6th power. Okay, how does that help me here? Let me start rewriting one more time. Let me use a different color. It's square root of 2 to the 5th times 5th root of 2 to the 6th. Okay, so I could write this as 2 to the 5 halves power times 2 to the 6th 5th power. Okay, and then I can combine these if I really wanted to. Maybe this is more now looking more right. It's 2 to the 5 half plus 6 fifth. Okay. Which is 2 to the, I need a common denominator now. So that is what, 25 over 10 plus 12 over 10, which is 2 to the 37 over 10. Does that sound right? 2 to the 37 over 10. Okay, so this is the 10th root of 2 to the 37. I wrote it back in radical form. And now this is 10th root of 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 7th, right? So this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 10th root of 2 to the 7th. Okay, so this is 8 times 10th root of 2 to the 7th. So it should be D. Is that right? 15D, yes. Okay, so usually, as you get further, the problems are more challenging. As you saw, it took me two tries to get it. So I first started just blindly simplifying, but then I started peeking at the answers to try to help me out, which has its own pros and cons. You might get tricked if you start looking at answers, but I felt like I was getting nowhere. So I started looking, and then I saw that there's these 10th roots, 7th roots, and all that. So I knew that I needed to approach it a little differently. So I know that 32 is 2 to the 5th, 64 is 2 to the 6th. So then I started going with that approach. I rewrote it, and then I just happened to start writing it into exponential form, and then I used properties, and then I eventually got to my answer. So this one, again, is more intermediate, I would say. You had to think a little differently, as you saw. Okay, free response time for this section. Line K is shown in the xy plane. Line J, not shown, is parallel to line K. What's the slope of line J? Parallel lines have the same slope, so what's the slope of this? Change, so here, delta y over delta x is what? Change in y looks like it's 1. Change in x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So the answer should be 1/5, same slope. Expression this guy is equivalent to cx to the d power, where c and d are constants and x is greater than 0. What is the value of c plus d? Okay, so 32 divided by 4 is 8. X to the 6 divided by x cubed, that's x to the 6 minus 3, which is x cubed. Okay, so c is 8, d is 3. So c plus d is 11. That's your answer. This guy, what value of h is the solution to the given equation? Okay, so what if I distribute this 2.1h? I just think to do that immediately. Plus 6.3 is 3h plus 2.1. Okay, subtract or isolate the h so that I would get 0.9h here, and that would be 4.2. That right? 4.2. Yeah, Let me multiply by 10 on both sides to get rid of the decimal. Okay, so h is 42 over 9. Can I simplify that? I probably can. It goes into 3, right? So it would be 14 over 3. Is that the answer? Yes. Okay. A cylinder and a sphere both have the same radius r, where r is greater than 0. The cylinder has a height of 16. The volume of the sphere is half the volume of the cylinder. What is the value of r? So I don't know if you get the formulas for the volumes of the sphere and the cylinder. I think there's an equation sheet in the beginning usually, but I know the formulas. I don't need it. But reference the front if you need to. Okay, cylinder has a height of 16. The volume of the sphere is half the volume of the cylinder. What is r? The same rate. Oh, okay. So how do we set this up? So volume of the sphere for third pi r cubed. That's volume of a sphere. Okay. Volume of the cylinder is pi r squared h. Okay. And it says that volume of the sphere is half the volume of the cylinder. So it's half times pi r squared h, okay? What's the value of r? Okay, we know what h is 16. So we can plug that in there, and then we can solve for r, okay? So the pi's would cancel, okay? R squared and 2 powers here would cancel, so we're left with r there. And then we set h is 16. So let me move this 3/4 to the side. So r is half times height is 16 times 3/4. Okay, so this is 8 times 3/4, which is 6. That's the answer. Okay. 20. X squared plus bx plus c equals 0. In the given equation, b and c are constants. If this guy and that guy, what is one possible value of x? Okay. How does this help us over here? Doesn't this kind of look like the quadratic formula? Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So the over 2a is gone. Maybe they moved it to this side. But notice negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4a. A seems to be 1c. Okay, that's immediately what I saw. So if you know the formula, quadratic formula, which you should know, then hopefully you were able to see it right away. Maybe this could help us. Again, this is the final problem in this section, so it's usually one of the harder ones. And you maybe have to think of it exactly like how it is. Looks like quadratic form, so maybe we can use it to our advantage. Okay, so B and C are constant. So yeah, A is 1. If we have standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, A is 1. And it happens to be the 4ac, the A is gone, right? Because A is 1. So that kind of makes sense. And then divide by 2a, A is 1. So the divide by 2 already happened over here. So it'll be, okay, let's write the quadratic for it. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's the quadratic formula, right? And we just said A is 1. So A is 1, so it'll be divide by 2. Okay? So to get from here to here, this 2 got moved over, right? So to get back to here, it would be divide by 2, that would be 9, right? The other solution would be 5. So either one works. And that's exactly the right answer. Yep, see? Things should look familiar, hopefully. So when I saw it right away, especially this is a quadratic, that was a big hint as well. Quadratics, we know how to solve possible values of x or zeros, because it equals 0. We can use quadratic formula. That's one of the first things you learn before even factoring and all that. And this looks just like it. So we worked backwards, and then we know the solutions are 9 or 5. Okay? I believe that's the end for the no calculator portion. Now let's move on to the calculator required portion. By the way, that took about half an hour. So did I say what the allowed time is? I forget what that allowed time is, but I went kind of slow to explain, as I said. Okay, let's move on. 8 data points are shown in the scatter plot. Line of best fit is shown. Which of the following is closest to y value predicted by the line of best fit point x value of 3700? So 3700 is somewhere here. We go find the y value. It's between 30 and 35, maybe 32.5, something like that. Answer is B, as simple as that. Object has a mass of 3300 mg. What is the mass of the object in grams? So 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, if you don't know the conversion. So you divide by, let's even use units. I like to show units to help explain things. Mg, we know there is 1 gram per 1,000 mg. The mg's cancel. So you just divide this by 1,000, 3,300 divided by 1,000. So you move the decimal 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So it should be 3.3 grams. So if you're familiar with converting, especially if you take science classes, which you should, this should be a piece of cake as well. What is the y-intercept of the line graph? I don't know why they asked. This is way too easy. Y-intercept's right there. What's that point? 0, 1, right? So that one. Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, or touches the y-axis. On average, 1 square inch of human skin contains 650 sweat glands. A certain area of skin contains 1170 sweat glands. Based on this information, which the following is the closest to the size of this area in square inches. So you can use proportions and all that, or you can use this unit analysis method that I did. I always like to use this too. Make sure I get the units correct. At least get the units correct, I should say. So there are, for 1 square inch, there is 650 glands, let's say. So actually, yeah, let's set it as a proportion. Equals some number x square inch. How many sweat glands? 1170 glands. So you solve for x. Okay? So it'll be 650 x is 1170. This is where you need your calculator. So you do 1170 divided by 650. That is 1.8. Answer is D. That right? 4D? Yes. Okay. Graph of the function t is shown, where y is t of x. Which of the following types of functions is graphed? This is clearly not a linear function. It's not a straight line, so eliminate those. Clearly it's exponential, if you're familiar with those. Should be. Is it increasing or is it decreasing? As x increases, how does the y value? What is the y value? Does it increase or decrease? It decreases, so it's decreasing exponential. Which of the following dot plots, each with 9 data values, represents a data with a median value that's less than 70? I have not seen dot plots in ages. But this is quite easy, actually. Median is the middle number, if you remember. There's an odd number of values, so that makes things easy. Okay? So you want the middle number to be less than 70. So you need, let's say 65, for example. You need an equal number of dots to the left and right of 65, basically. So here you can see that there's 4 dots to the left of 70, 4 dots to the right of 70. So the median is 70. So it has to be less than 70. It's not, cross that out. Here you can clearly see that the median will be somewhere here, probably 75, right? Because there's 4 dots here and 4 dots here. Yep, median 75, not right. Here you have a median that is probably 65 because there's 4 dots here and then 4 dots here. So the median is that one, 65. So this is probably true. Let's check the last one real quick. 4 dots here, so median looks like a 70. 4 dots here. Yep, median 70 does not meet the condition. Table gives the heights in feet of 5 peaks in the Rocky Mountains and 5 peaks in the Appalachian Mountains. What is the height in meters of Blanca Peak? Use 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. So with that peak, 14,350, that's feet. And let's use the unit analysis method. It'll be 3.28 feet in 1 meter. So the feet would cancel. So it's 14,350 divided by 3.8, 3.28, which is 4,375. You need a calculator for that. 7B. Okay. For the given Appalachian Mountain peaks, the height of the highest peak is approximately what % greater than the height of the lowest peak? Okay, so this is talking about percent change. So it doesn't matter the units now. What's the highest one? It's talking about Appalachian, right? Yeah. The highest looks like this one, right? It's the highest. 6684. What's the lowest? It is this one, right? Lowest. So how much % higher is this one than this one is what the question is asking, right? What % greater than the height? Okay, so how do we find % change? We take the difference first. So it'll be 6684 minus 6611 divided by what are we changing from? That's key for % change. We're asked % greater than the lowest peak. So change from the lowest. So change from this guy. Okay, so 6684 minus 6611, that's 73 over 6611 divided by 6611. Okay, so you get like 0.01104, something like that. Okay, so what's the answer? Is it A? Is it D? It's A. Imagine something's 100% greater than the other. It's twice of it. It's doubled. So that's not it, right? Clearly this is not doubled. So it's just A, 1.1%. Okay? Yeah, these two data sets. What statement best compares the medians of the data sets? Median, okay, let's quickly find it then maybe. The median of the first one, well, there's an even number of terms, so what are the middle two? It's 6 and 6. Take the average, the median is 6. Here there's an odd number of terms. It's already sequentially ordered, by the way. We have to sequentially order it, which they both are. So we take the middle, so that should be this one, right? 3 on both sides, so 6. So the median is the same for both. 9C. Mass of a solution of isopropanol and water. This is alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl is that. Actually, I don't know. Never mind. Don't quote me on it. Is 100 grams. Massive solution of both of these. The given equation represents the situation where X is the volume of isopropanol in cubic centimeters and Y is the volume of water in cubic centimeters. If the volume of that is 70, what is the approximate volume of water in cubic centimeters? Okay, so they give us the volume of the alcohol, isopropanol. Let's assume that's alcohol. It is 70. Which variable is it? It's X. So 0.79 times 70. I'm going to make sure the units are right. X is in cubic centimeters, so they give us in cubic centimeters, plus Y, 1.0, Y is just Y, is 100. Okay, now we just solve for Y, I believe. So let's calculate it. 100 minus 0.79 times 0.7. Not 0.7, sorry, times 70. So this should be Y is 44.7. So I'm guessing it's A. 10A? Yes. Let's suppose that, using the model. There are 435 voting members of the U.S. House of Reps. If B voting members are in favor of a certain bill, which expression represents the percentage of voting members in favor of the bill? So to find, percent is always a ratio. So 435 total, so ratio is B, because they're in favor of the total, 435. And then this will give you a number that's less than 1. To get a percent, you just multiply by 100, right? So it should be A. Which of the following equations has the same solution as the given equation? Okay, so you basically don't want this equation to change. Okay, whatever you do to one side, you got to do the other. So it looks like the first one is good, because if you divide by 10 on both sides, you get X plus 120 is 12. So this is probably the answer, 12A. This one for sure is not right, because to get from here to here, at least for here, you would have to add 10, but clearly that's not what they did on this side. They divided by 10, but then they somehow got 130 over here. Don't know why. Here, I don't know how they suddenly got X plus 12. Even if you did that, so it'll be X plus 120 is 12, as we said, and then you subtract, what is that? 108. So that's clearly not right, and it's similar for that. So the answer is A right away. Didn't have to do any computation, actually. The graph shows the change over time in milliseconds in a neuron's membrane potential in millivolts during an electrical brain signal known as an action potential. At which of the following times in milliseconds is the membrane potential closest to negative 70 millivolts? So this is the voltage, the potential. We were interested when it's negative 70. Where is it negative 70? That's right there. So what's that time? 1.25, something like that. But then it's also over here, because I clearly don't see a 1.25. Minus 70 is this line here, so it's also approaching there at like, I don't know, 4.5, something like that, right? So probably 5. 13D, yes. Okay, so it reached negative 70 at this 1 point something, but then at which of the following times the membrane potential closest to negative 70? But it keeps moving, and clearly you don't have that answer. So here you can see it's approaching minus 70, negative 70, so that's the best answer. Okay, 1450 refers to this guy. Function C models the annual soybean use in China in millions of metric tons between 1995 and 2014, where X is the number of years after 1995, which graph represents the model. Okay, so this is a linear function. This is a linear function. They all are. Okay, that's fine. 4.3, 19. Let's find if this y-intercept is true. 19. Ooh, that one's, I don't know. This one's for sure not right. The y-intercept is not right. Cross D out. This one is suspicious, but we'll keep it because the scale, you can't really tell. We'll keep it for now. The slope is 4.3. Okay, let's round it up to around 5. It should be around 4, between 4 and 5. Okay, what's the slope here? It looks like it is... Okay, so if it's... You can just imagine if it's 20 years, what would the slope be? Or 10 years even, the slope should be 43, right? So there should be an increase of 43 from 0 to 10. Is there an increase of 43? That looks about right. Okay, so we'll keep that. This one for sure does not look right. Cross that out. This one, we said there should be around 43. This one for sure does not look right. It's way more than that. Answer is A. Okay, that's how I thought to solve this. Look at the slope and the y-intercept. According to the model, what is the best interpretation of 4.3 in this context? It's the slope. What's being changed? Change in y over change in x. What's x? Number of years. So let's write that down. Years. What's the y value? It's the annual soybean use in China. So millions of metric tons. So it'll be like tons per year. That's even the units right there. Okay, so let's see the choices. Each year, China used 4.3 million metric tons of soybeans. No, that's for sure not true. This is a rate. It's increasing by this much every year on average. It's not they use this every year. It would have been a flat line then. So cross A out immediately. China increased by, this is what I was saying, so let's keep that. Used 4.3 in 1995. No, because that's when x is 0. They used 19. He used a total of, no, that's for sure not true. That's, if you add it, then for sure it's not true, right? If you add each point on this line. So, answer is B. Okay. Given function C models the cost in dollars of growing and harvesting X bales, the given function models revenue, cost, and revenue. Okay. See, I don't even have to really read most of that. I just need to pick out the key points. According to the function R, how many bales of hay would have been sold to earn a revenue of $14.25? Okay. Revenue of $14.25, X is the number of bales, so it's 1425 is 4.75x. Solve for x. So 1425 divided by 4.75, that is 300. Okay. Now second part, which of the following inequalities models the number of bales of hay that must be sold to earn a profit of $10,000 or more? Profit is revenue minus cost. $10,000 or more. Okay? So you could already imagine which inequality sign it should be. 10,000 or more. So it should be greater than or equal to. Okay? As in the profit is greater than or equal to 10,000. Okay? So we can eliminate these two. Because the profit is this side over here. It should be $10,000 or more, so greater than or equal to. So we already eliminated two choices. Now which one is it? Is it the minus or is it the plus? Let's go back to here. Okay, so profit is revenue minus cost. So it's minus 50,000. So the answer is A. Simple as that. Okay. Which expression is equivalent to this guy? Probably need to expand these out. You should know the formulas off the top of your head. X to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16 plus this is x squared minus 4. So it should be x to the fourth plus 9x squared plus 12. Answer is D, as simple as that. How many solutions does the given system of equations have? I can already tell it's D, infinitely many. How do I know that? Actually, sorry, this should be 0. They're parallel lines. One's like this, one's like this. Do they ever intersect? No. 0. Infinite line is the same line. So my bad. Okay. Which inequality represents all values of x for which the graph of y equals h of x in the xy plane is above the x-axis. So when this guy is above the x-axis means when the y value is greater than 0. Okay, so we divide by 3 on both sides. That's x plus 1 is greater than 0 still. X is greater than -1. Answer C. Graph models the mass of cobalt-60 remaining after x half-lives. Yep, this looks familiar. Half-life should be exponential. Half-life is 5.27 years. What is the mass of cobalt-60 remaining in the sample after 10.54 years? So, how do we do this? Well, half-life is 5.27. Isn't this just 2 half-lives? I don't even need to set up an equation or anything like that. So, after 5.27 years, so let's say you have, let's just say you have one, actually, milligrams. It doesn't give you, okay, yeah. So, let's say you have one starting, you have a whole gram of, or nanogram of cobalt-60. After 5.27 years, you will have half. After another 5.27 years, which is 10.54, you have half of the half, which is a fourth. Okay? So, we initially have, looks like 5 nanograms. So it'll be 5 times 1/4. You only have 1/4 left, so that is 1.25. Okay? Which quadratic equation has no real solutions? So obviously you can graph all these if you allowed a graphing calculator, and you can find out which one doesn't cross the x-axis, but we should be smarter than that. This one, we can already tell there's already 2 solutions, because if I move the 3 to the other side, divide by 3, then x plus or minus 1. Okay, this one I can factor as 3x times x plus 1 equals 0. 2 solutions here, 0 and -1. Cross that out. Can I factor this one? I'm not I don't think I can. But, okay, 3 times x squared plus x plus 1 equals 0. How about this one over here? Can I factor this one? It'll be 3 times x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0, which I can factor this further. It's 3 times x minus 1 squared is 0. And there's one unique solution here, x is 1. It has a multiplicity of 2, if you know that stuff, but there's only one unique one. This one, by process of elimination, has no real. Okay? For the triangle shown, which equation not true? Sine of x is 42/59. That's right, opposite over hypotenuse. Cross that out. So if you don't know the trig identity, which I don't think they expect you to know, but you should know from the right triangle, if this angle is x, this angle over here is 90 minus x. Because these two angles need to add up to 90 degrees, and plus another 90, that's 180 degrees, which is the total degrees in a triangle. Okay, so this angle is 90 minus x. So we can do sine of 90 minus x. What's sine of 90 minus x? Should be this number, whatever it is, over 59. What's this number over here? Do we need to calculate it? I don't know. So let's skip this for now, but this might not be true. Let's hold off on that. What's cosine of 90 minus x? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. This is true. Cross that out. Sine of 90 minus x minus cosine of x is 0. What's sine of 90 minus x? That's this over this. Cosine of x is the same ratio. So of course it's 0. See, we didn't even need to calculate that third side. By process of elimination, it's B. 1976, there were approximately 1,000 gray wolves. Number of gray wolves in 2008 was 190% greater than 1976. Approximately how many gray wolves were in northern Minnesota in 2008? So, again, don't be confused about this. If there's 1,000, let's just say there was 100%, it was 100% greater, then what would the value be in 2008? It would be 100% greater, so it doubled. Just 100% more. 100% is 1,000, so 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000. Okay? So you can just imagine that this would be almost, this is almost 200%. What's 200% of this? Well, this is 1,000, so the numbers are easy already. So 100% more would be 1,000 more. 190% more would be 1,900 more. So 1,900 plus another 1,000, that's 2,900. Simple as that. So it's not A. You don't just do this times 1.9. That's not it. Hopefully that simple example of thinking it through made it make sense that this of 100% more is 2,000. So 1,000 times 1 is 1,000, so clearly that's not right? So, okay, when the quadratic function f is graphed in the xy plane, its vertex is minus 2, 5. One of the x-intercepts is minus 7 over 3, 0. What's the other x-intercept? Okay, so if you remember, the vertex is the point of symmetry. Okay, so let's even sketch it. Minus 2, 5 is here. That's the vertex. The x-intercept, one of the x-intercepts is here. Okay. Actually, that is somewhere over here, because this is minus 2 point something, right? So the other x-intercept should be on this side, because this is the point of symmetry. Okay. What's the distance between this and this in the distance in the x-axis or in the x? This is 1/3, because minus 6 over 3 is minus 2, so another 1/3 in the negative direction. So it should be minus 2 plus 1/3 for it to be symmetric on this side. So that's minus 5/3. Okay, simple as that. Box plots summarize data set x and y. Each set consists of a total of 100 integers. Which of the following statements must be true? Okay. The mean of set data x is less than the mean of set data y. Do we know that? This is the median, if you remember. This middle mark is the median. We don't really know, actually. You can get an idea of the mean by how it's skewed. Okay, let's look at this one first, maybe. Median of data set x is less than the median of data set y. That's true. As I just said, this middle one is the median. So this is for sure less than that. So 2 is true. Okay, so it can't be 1 only. And it can't be neither 1 or 2. So now we have to figure out if 1's actually true. Okay, so now let's look at, this is must be true. Okay, so let me think about this. This, you notice that, because this is the 25th percentile, 25th percentile, what's the word I'm looking for? Quartile 1, I think that's it, yeah, quartile 1. Quartile 3, if I remember correctly. 25th percentile, this is the 50th percentile, the median. This is the 75th percentile. So the 25th and the 50th are a distance of 1 away, versus the 50th and the 75th are a distance of 2 away. So it looks like it's more clustered over here. So the mean is probably more skewed. Median is hard to tell, actually. So I feel like this is not true. Mean is hard to tell. You can tell if it's skewed or not, but you just really don't know the value in the end. It could be they have the same mean over here, right, in the middle. So I feel like it's not 1. You know, you have an idea of that the mean is probably skewed more this way, from the skewed to the right. You don't really know the value. So I feel like it's 2 only. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. As I said, the mean is probably somewhere here, just by the nature of how it's skewed. This data is skewed. This one, same thing. The median is over here. So the mean is probably somewhere here. So the means could be the same, but we don't know that. So it says must be true, so this is must be true, as I explained earlier. Okay, we don't really know anything about the mean. Okay, for an exponential function g, the value of g of x decreases by 20% for each 1 unit increase in the value of x. If g of 2 equals 6, which equation could define g? It decreases 20% for each 1 unit increase. It decreases 20%, so we are multiplying by 0.8 because we want 80% of it left. Okay, so it should be either A or B right away. Okay, now is it minus 2 or is it plus 2? Well, what if we plug in x is 2? We would get 0.8 to the 0 power, which is 1. 1 times 16, that's 16. That works. Plug in 2 into here. 0.8 to the 4th power, that's something. Times 16, that's not 16 anymore. Okay? Micah and Rana each selected a random sample of students at a school and asked how many soft drink servings each... Okay, see, there's too many words. Estimated that the mean number of soft drink servings was 7.1. Margin error of 1.2. Then the mean, 8.3, margin error of 0.8. Assume the margin of errors were calculated in the same way, which the following explains why Rana obtained a smaller margin of error than Micah. Okay. So margin of error, basically, to give you the idea if you're not familiar with this or need a quick review, is the mean was 7.1, margin of error of 1.2, so it could be 7.1 minus 1.2, worst case, or 7.1 plus 1.2, worst case. That's the worst case error, plus or minus 1.2 from the values you calculated, 7.1. That's the worst case. It could be smaller than that, so that's margin of error. Similarly, 8.3 plus or minus 0.8, that's the worst case. Okay, so which of the following explains why Rana obtained a smaller... Okay, let's read the choices. Rana's sample contained more students than Micah's sample contained. Random sample of students. Random, that's important. So we did have to read that. Random selection. Okay. This seems like it could be true because obviously more samples, more students in this case, is always better, especially when they're randomly selected. Okay, so we'll keep that for now. Okay, Rana's sample contained more students who drink soft drinks than. They're randomly selected. So how would you know that? Right. So. If they're randomly selected, then the samples should be good. Okay, and it should be representative of the population, assuming they have enough samples. That's a big condition. I'm leaning toward this is true now. Rana's sample contained more students who drink exactly 7. How would you, in the board, would you know that? If they're randomly selected, right? So more students who drink exactly. Okay, again, same thing. These don't make sense at all if you know stats. Okay, so the idea is random selection is important, and obviously, the more samples you take, the better the result you'll get, the statistical result you'll get. Okay, you can just imagine if you just ask one student, that's not a really good sample, right? Sample size. If you ask 10, that's better, but not great still. If your population size is 1 million, you can just imagine 10 people don't really represent 1 million well, so you need more than that. Okay. A circle in the xy plane has a center at that and point there, which equation represents the circle. Okay. The center is this, so if you remember the formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is r squared. Okay, so it should be x plus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared. So we can keep this one, eliminate this and this right away. Okay, what is the radius? We can use the distance formula here. It would be radius squared is 4 minus 1 squared plus 4 minus 1 minus 3 minus 2 squared, which is 9 plus 25. Did I do this right? 4 minus 1 is 3, which is squared is 9. Yeah, that seems right, but then... Oh, sorry, it should be plus 2. That's why. I'm like, I don't see a 10 at all. So this is 1. Okay, so r squared is 10. So it should be d. Okay, because the distance formula, you have the square root. But this formula, you square it. So might as well just square it so you don't have the square root, right? So answer is d. For the quadratic function, the table gives 3 values of x and the corresponding values of h of x. At what value of x does h reach its minimum? Okay, so we just did this concept. It's a quadratic or a parabola, so it's symmetric. We have two x-intercepts. Okay, so it reaches minimum. So it'll open something like this because it's symmetric. We know the x value will be right in the middle of these two x-intercepts, which is x is 3. As simple as that. Okay, so we just went over this concept, right? So didn't really have to do any calculation. Okay, free response time. We're almost done. Certain rock band released 20 music albums from 1963 to that. If one of the albums is selected at random, what is the probability of selecting an album that was released in 1964? 1964, how many are there? 7 over how many are there total? It's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 7 over 20. That's the answer. You write it as a fraction. Company decides to sponsor an employee bowling team. Cost to form the team is $180 per team member, plus one-time $25 fee. Maximum number of team members who can join the team, the company can spend $925. Okay, so if it's $925 and there's a one-time fee of $25 first, then there's $900 left, and then it costs $180 per person. Okay, put this in your calculator. Technically, you don't need a calculator for this, but since you have the calculator, might as well put it in. 5. Simple as that. Solution to the system of equations xy was the value of x. Okay, so we can add the two equations together. So 3x plus 2x, that's 5x. 4y minus 4y, that's 0. 18 plus 17, what is that? That is 35. So x is 7. Simple as that. Elements in the periodic table having atomic numbers 1 through 18. The bar graph summarizes the number of elements by their number of valence electrons. How many of these elements have, at most, 4 valence electrons? At most. So it's 6 plus 4, which is 10. Is that it? I don't know why they asked this question. It's so simple. Okay. If this guy was the value of 3x, so let's solve for 3x. It'll be 5 root 3x is 15. Root 3x is 3. So 3x is 9. As simple as that. These are very easy. If x over y is 8, 2x over ty is 160. What's the value of t? Well, let's rewrite this as 2 over t times x over y is 160. X over y is 8, so 2 over t times 8 is 160. Okay, so this is 16 over t is 160. Okay, so let's invert it. T over 16 is 1 over 160. Okay, so now multiply by 16 on both sides. T is 1/10. Okay, simple as that. These are all very easy over here. 2 more. Let's see if they get harder. Table summarizes the distribution of age and assigned group for participants in a study. One of these participants will be selected at random. What is probably a selected participant from group A, given that the participant is at least 10 years of age? Okay, so you got to be careful here. This is conditional probability. probability of, I don't know, A given B. Okay, that's how we usually say it. It's probability of A and B over probability of B. Okay? So, what is this one? It's group A given that the participant is at least 10 years old. So, this is A given B, so the given is at least 10 years old. So, what's the probability of at least 10 years old? We can just take the count because the total would cancel out. So let's just take the count. It is, so what did I just say? This is where you have to keep track. I'm also wearing out because it's been an hour of this, but let's see. At least 10 years of age. So at least 10 years of age, that's these two here, right? That's 120. Okay, because the total in these two groups are 60 each, so it's 120 for at least 10. Okay, so A and B. So both group A and at least 10 years old. So group A and at least 10 years old, that is, what is that? 20, 30, 40. So that should be 1/3 as your answer. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so you have to remember conditional probability over here. Last one. In the figure shown, point B and the center of each circle lie on AC. Point B and the center of each circle line on AC, line AC. Ratio of AB to BC is 4:1. If the area of the small circle is 72, what's the area of the shaded region? Okay, so this is probably a multi-step problem. Okay, ratio of AB to BC is 4:1. How does that help us out? Okay, let's see. Area of the small circle is 72. So 72 is pi times its radius squared. What is the radius of what? The small circle. So it's AB divided by 2. AB is the diameter, radius is half of it. So AB over 2, we square that. Pi r squared, that's area. So let's solve for AB then. So then that would be 72 times 4. That's 288 over pi is AB squared. Okay. And then we can square root it. So I'm not going to write that down. But area of the shaded region, that's the area of the large minus the small. Okay. How does this help us out? Well, ratio of AB to BC is 4:1. That's how you set up ratios, like that, right? So, what if we square both sides? AB squared over BC squared is 16. Okay, so we can find what BC is. Over pi over 16, right? So BC would be the square root of this. Okay, so now that we have BC, we know the radius of the outer circle, the big one. It's AB plus BC. Okay, so let me see if I can. Is there a faster way to do this? I don't know. Okay, let's finish what I'm thinking first. Okay, area of the shaded region. So it'll be pi times AB plus BC over 2 squared. That's the area of the whole outer circle. Minus area of the small circle is 72. Okay, so can we plug this in? Okay, So, I mean, we can always store this as values in our scientific calculator, right? So maybe let me just do that. 288 over pi. And we square root that. And then this guy is square root of 288 over pi over 16. Okay, so this guy would be pi times that one I stored. Oops, okay, that's pi times this guy squared. No, not squared, not yet. This guy. Where did I put it? Here, plus this guy, divide by 2, and then I need to square that whole thing, minus 72. Clearly I did something wrong. Okay, so let's see what I did wrong. Okay, unless I typed it in wrong in my calculator, which is possibility. Okay, so in the figure shown, point B and the center of each circle lie on AC. The ratio of AB to BC is 4:1. If the area of the small circle is what the area of the shaded region. Do I need to even do all this? Is what I'm thinking. Okay, since I have scratch paper, let me just do it here. Okay. So it's given AB to BC is 4:1. So AB is, yeah, I think I made my life a lot more complicated. 4BC, right? AB is 4BC. Okay, now, as I was saying, the area of the outer circle is, well, the radius of the outer circle is AB plus BC divided by 2. So, let's say R out is AB plus BC over 2, okay? Which we know that AB is 4BC. So, I can rewrite this as 5BC over 2. Or do I want to write it as BC is a fourth AB? That could work as well. Okay, so it'll be half times BC, a fourth AB, so that's 5/4 AB, which is 5/8 times AB. That's my R out. Okay, now the area of the shaded is 72 minus 72, because that's the smaller area of the smaller. The area of the big one is pi times 5/8 AB squared minus 72. Okay, now what is AB though? So 72, the small circle, area of the small circle is pi times AB over 2 squared, is it not? So I could solve for AB there. Which is, so that's 4, what's 72 times 4 again? That is 288 is AB squared times pi. Okay. So, okay, there we go. AB squared times pi is 5/8. This guy's still squared, but AB squared times pi minus 72. This guy is 288, so it'll be 25/64 times 288 minus 72. That looks more right now. So 25/64 times 288 minus 72. This is 40.5. Is that the answer? Yes. Okay, finally got it. This was a more challenging one. Okay. So to recap, since I was, again, thinking out loud, if that didn't make any sense. So we want to find the area of the shaded region, which we can find via area of the whole outer circle minus the area of this white circle over here, the inner circle. Okay, area of the inner circle they gave. How do we find the area of the outer circle? Well, area of any circle is pi r squared. So what's the radius of the outer circle? It's half of this AC, which is AC is AB plus BC. Okay, so that's what I did here. R out is AB plus BC divided by 2, half of it, right? And they give us that AB over BC is 4 over 1, because the ratio of AB to BC is 4 to 1. So I can write it as BC is 1/4 AB, okay? So I can replace this BC over here with 1/4 AB, which becomes 5/4 AB if we add that. This 2 I've moved out as a half over here. Just divide by 2. And this simplifies to 5/8 AB. Now, as I said, area of the outer circle, which is pi times, this is the radius of the outer circle, squared, minus, they gave us the area of the inner circle. Okay? The area of the inner circle, we also know the area, we can find the radius, by the way, because it's just half of AB, is pi times half AB squared. So we can solve for AB squared times pi, which is 288. And here we can get AB squared times pi as well, if I distribute this squared to both these terms. Okay? Right here is my AB squared times pi, that's 288. And then I solved, so it's 40.5. Okay? Okay, so that took an hour and 20 minutes-ish. I don't know how long we allowed, but hopefully you saw how I thought through the problem. Some of them were very quick, actually. Hopefully you saw. And some, like this one, even I had to do it twice to get it right. Okay, so you saw, hopefully, that, again, usually the beginning problems are very easy. The ones toward the end are usually a little harder. Like this conditional problem one's a little more challenging, but I'm very familiar with this, so it was not hard for me. But then you saw here, it took me a while, right? And you saw in these other earlier free response ones, I did it in seconds, really. Okay, so again, there's that, and then hopefully you saw that, sometimes it's just very simple concepts. Like over here, I didn't even have to bother to calculate anything because I know that the slopes are the same. So when they're the same, and they're not exactly the same y-intercept, they are parallel lines, so they never intersect, so no solution right there. And sometimes you saw that, where did it go? There's that one where I went through the choices, that linear inequality one. I went through the choices. Because, to be frank, I don't remember how to solve them right now off the top of my head. So you can sometimes go by the multiple choice, and that can help you get the answer as well. Just plug in points, or plug in the values. That's just scratching the surface of techniques that you can use. And you saw that, at least in the calculator section, I did not use the calculator that often. It's just some small computations I used it to help me, but you didn't really need it, really, too much. Okay, so hopefully this was interesting or helpful to you. Please like this video if you did find it helpful in any way. And if you enjoyed this video, please also just leave a comment and I'll try to do more of these.